John Force here, 16-time funny car champion. I've been trying to give you a little bit of history in these videos that are running on social media or wherever Sarah runs them. But bottom line, along the road, there was records that were set. I was just trying to win races, feed my family, and try to keep my team together because I love the NHRA drag racing. But I remember in Gainesville, I didn't even realize that I'd done it. They said, you won number 50 races in your career. And they said, nobody's ever done that, only a few. And Bob Glidden, I think he won 86, 85. Bob Glidden, I didn't even have the right to mention his name, even if I was a champion. I never did anything like what that individual did in Pro Stock. But in the middle of it, we traveled on, we go through it. I don't even remember the year, the 86. What year was that?
But you won the 2000 was your 86th win.
Yeah, 2000. In 2000, I got number 86. I think it was in Chicago. It was in Chicago. And I remember, once again, because I don't think about setting records, I'm trying to survive here. And I went down that racetrack and I got out at the other end. And the president of NHRA, Tom Compton, was standing there with a group of people with this big old thing that said, number 86, a big old sign, you know what I'm saying, congratulating me. And I didn't know how to interview. I was just like totally lost. And they said, you broke Bob Glidden's record. I remember I had tied it somewhere. They said I tied it. And then they said I broke it. And everybody was like, what is wrong with you? You're supposed to be excited. I was drained from the day, but I don't like breaking records, even though that's my job. Glidden was a hero, a guy in Pro Stock that, you know, that everybody looked up to. And like Warren Johnson, and it was like, wait a minute. I broke his record. I never drove a Pro Stock car. How? And I remember Tom Compton said to me, do you realize, John Force, that I have been following you across the country week after week, can't ever stay home with my wife and kids, waiting for you to set this record, an all-time record. And then you act like you don't care. I care. It was very important.
John, I know to put your emotions into words, but we're going to ask you to do it anyway.
I forgot there was still a race going on, and my old daddy and my Uncle Beeves used to say they're up there in heaven, you know, don't let them 86 you from the bar. So we didn't here, we just 86'd them right out of the racetrack, and it was awesome. You know I love you bad boys. It was Chicago. Chicago.
Congratulations, man.
Oh, you got me one.
Was it maybe a little more? Was it maybe?
Oh no, he armed up. We know Dale Armstrong and Brooks, and we know Tolliver, he wants to steal real bad. He tells me on a regular basis, but Preston out here to come out here and make her rock and roll, especially Chicago. All these people, that's what's awesome. Chicago, and this one here is for Austin Coyle, the Chi-Town Hustler. It's Chicago bad. Yeah.
You're all the
This
way
one
back
right
to the
here is
pit
for
practice.
Austin Coyle,
Okay.
Chi-Town Hustler, and all the guys that he put together here at the Preston race. Austin,
Hey man,
this is your home.
this is where it all began some 35 years ago when I started racing the Chi-Town Hustler, and this is great.
I went on from there and I set records again. You know, I got 100 somewhere, I don't know, Houston, I got 100. You know what I mean? But it didn't matter to me. I was on this roller coaster of domination. You know what I'm saying? You know, and all down this road. And something I want to tell you that's very important to me. I won in 1990. I told you about winning that championship at Pomona at Auto Club Raceway. I come back in 91 and I thought I'm on top of the world now. And then in 92, the hamburger stand from hell. It was Cruz Petragon. Drove for McDonald's hamburgers, my favorite. And I'll never forget this. I was chasing him. They told me by Seattle I had this thing locked up. You were going to beat him. He had to win the next 5 races to catch you. You'd have to lose 5 first round. And I got where I struggled to qualify. we got too cocky in 92. We lost track of what it takes to win because we'd won in 90 and 91. And somewhere along the road, I'm running into walls at Dallas and crashed against Cruz. It was me and Cruz, neck and neck. Great racer, great promoter, tuner, driver, drives the 18-wheeler like me. He does everything. But in the middle of it, here I was, turned upside down in the car at the final race at Pomona. You know, I told this story that I called up. I was trying to still beat him, but I'd already lost to him. And I rolled the car over on its roof at that race when I lost to Cruz. And I told everybody, I was on the radio and Bernie said, it's over, Forrest, it's over. Another one of my little errors. We didn't have radios where we could talk to each other in those days. But somehow, in the moment of all that, I told the story later and I told it all wrong. Didn't mean to exaggerate about it. But how could this Cruz Petragon beat me? Probably the worst thing about that whole thing, and I know we were talking about, you know, setting records and beating Glidden and all that, but driving to Seattle in my Chevrolet van with my wife and my kids, they were all little, Ashley, Brittany, Courtney, little tiny, and Adra, she was older, but in the middle of all this, we went into a McDonald's, and I remember one of my kids opening their little McDonald's box, and they pulled out the little miniature Cruz Petragon McDonald's car, and one of the girls, Courtney or Brittany, put it right up my face in the front seat, and I'm all stressed on this road trip. Lori said, I'll never go again with you ever. And she said, look at this, Dad, there's a car that's gonna beat you to the championship. And I had a fit. I jumped out of the car like I was totally nuts, threw the little car down on the ground. The babies were all crying like, are you nuts? Lori wanted a divorce that day. And it's like, how can you let this? You don't know the world I lived in. That I won 2 championships and now I'm going back to where I came from and I'm never gonna win again. This was painful. And kids are all crying. Adra's looking at me like, you are really stupid, Dad. But that was what a little car did to the great John Forrest. It crushed me. And we went on. He beat me at Seattle. He beat me everywhere. Dallas, I hit the wall. And at Pomona, at the final race of the season, I rolled it over on its roof. And it was over. And that Cruz was the champ. I came back after that. I never lost sight. I won 10 championships straight. From 93 on, all the way, and then I lost. I came back and won again, lost. Tony Petragon won. A great driver won the championship. Along came other drivers. Robert Height wins championships. It was crazy. We had an era of domination. A little bit tougher now. You know what I'm saying? Real tough for me, not so much for Robert Height. But in the middle of it, that was the road that I went down. And it'll all be in the book, it'll all be in the movie, or at least some of it. There's so much history. You understand out here, I've been out here longer than most of you have been alive. You know what I'm saying? I've been out here racing. I raced in the 60s. I've been out here 50 years. How I stay so beautiful, I don't know. God bless you.